Hey all, it's Fox. Long time no see. I'm convinced our consciousness survives our bodily death, but what I'm not as confident about is what actually awaits us beyond the veil. While many near-death experiencers tell stories about encountering bliss, lost loved ones, and having an overwhelming feeling of peace and relief, I am not convinced. I think when we pass, we need to remain vigilant because this moment of transition may be fraught with danger. Today, we're going to talk about what dangers may await us after we die. But before we dive in, I want to invite you to subscribe. Your support is my greatest motivation and inspires me to bring you more content. I love to muse about everything strange. You know what they say, the truth is stranger than fiction. So I seek out the strange because odds are that's where the truth is. Now, moving on. Dangers that could lurk in the afterlife. The concept of the afterlife has fascinated humans for millennia. Every culture, religion, and philosophy has grappled with what happens after death, offering interpretations ranging from heavenly paradises to torturous realms of punishment. While many envision the afterlife as a place of peace and reunion with lost loved ones, it is also portrayed as a domain of potential peril. Various traditions warn of dangerous forces, hostile entities, and existential threats that could await souls on the other side. These imagined dangers reflect our deepest fears of the unknown, the consequences of moral failings, and the challenge of navigating an unfamiliar and potentially hazardous spiritual landscape. Hostile entities, demons, and malevolent spirits. One of the most commonly feared dangers in the afterlife is the presence of hostile, evil entities. In many religious traditions, demons and evil spirits are believed to inhabit realms like hell or purgatory, preying upon the souls of the deceased. In Christian theology, demons are often associated with the devil and are said to torment sinners in hell as part of their eternal punishment. This torment can take the form of psychological and physical suffering, with demons acting as agents of retribution. Similarly, in Islam, jinn are sometimes depicted as mischievous and malicious spirits capable of manipulating and harming human souls. While jinn are not inherently evil, there are evil forms that are believed to be responsible for leading souls astray or causing harm in the afterlife. Hindu and Buddhist cosmologies also speak of lower realms where malicious spirits or entities may reside, often associated with negative karmic consequences. For souls who end up in these regions, the danger lies in being at the mercy of these beings whose purpose is to inflict suffering, to obstruct enlightenment, or to trap the soul in cycles of pain. In the Christian faith, a number of demons could be lurking just beyond the veil, including Beelzebub, the Lord of the Flies, associated with gluttony and corruption. Or Mammon, the demon of greed said to torment the souls obsessed with wealth. There's Asmodeus, a demon associated with lust and desire, or Belial, a demon of lawlessness and deceit, often connected to those who led corrupt lives. Or Astaroth, a Grand Duke of Hell, known for leading souls into intellectual pride and vanity. And of course, Lucifer or Satan, the ruler of hell in many interpretations, often seen as the ultimate tormentor of the damned. The torments of hell, punishment for sins. Perhaps the most well-known danger in the afterlife is the risk of eternal damnation or punishment. Many religious traditions posit the existence of hell, a place where the souls of the wicked or unrepentant are sent to suffer for their sins. Descriptions of hell vary, but the common theme is that it's a realm of extreme suffering, often involving physical pain, psychological torment, and isolation from divine presence. In Christianity, hell is depicted as a fiery pit or a lake of fire where the damned are subjected to eternal flames. The pain is not merely physical but also emotional, with the damned suffering from remorse, guilt, and knowledge that they are separated from God forever. In Islamic theology, hell is similarly portrayed as a place of intense suffering, where souls are subjected to various tortures based on the severity of their sins. The fear of this eternal punishment serves as a moral deterrent, but also as a stark reminder of the potential perils that await the unrepentant. Other belief systems have similar notions of punishment in the afterlife. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the concept of Naraka refers to a realm where souls face the consequences of bad karma, enduring various levels of suffering until their karmic debt is repaid. These punishments are often gruesome, involving torture, mutilation, or being trapped in cycles of birth and death. While these torments are not necessarily eternal, the fear of spending countless eons in such a place is enough to create anxiety about the dangers that could await in the afterlife. The void, loss of identity, and self. For some, the greatest danger in the afterlife may not be external forces or entities, but the potential dissolution of the self. Certain religious and philosophical traditions speak of the afterlife as a place where individual consciousness could be lost or absorbed into a larger cosmic whole. In these interpretations, the soul may lose its sense of individuality, memory, or identity, a prospect that many find terrifying. In Buddhism, for example, the ultimate goal of enlightenment involves transcending the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, samsara. However, this process may require the dissolution of the ego and the release of personal attachments, including the very concept of self. While this is viewed as a liberating step toward nirvana, it can also be perceived as a danger by those who fear the loss of personal identity. Similarly, some interpretations of Hinduism suggest that the soul, Atman, ultimately merges with the universal soul, Brahman, after death. This reunion with the divine may be seen as a form of spiritual liberation, but it also raises existential fears about what happens to individual consciousness. The idea of becoming one with the cosmos, losing all individuality and personal experience, can be a profound source of anxiety, as it challenges our inherent desire to remain ourselves beyond death. In a secular context, the fear of the void is often expressed as a concern over nothingness after death. The belief that consciousness simply ceases and that there is no afterlife or continuation of the self is a deeply unsettling prospect for many. This existential threat, the complete erasure of one's being, represents a danger not of punishment or torment, but of annihilation. Getting lost or trapped in limbo. Another potential danger in the afterlife is the fear of becoming lost, disoriented, or trapped in a liminal space. Various religious and folkloric traditions describe realms that exist between the living world and the final destination of the soul, often referred to as limbo, purgatory, or the bardo in Tibetan Buddhism. These in-between spaces are often depicted as shadowy, confusing, and filled with uncertainty. In Christian theology, purgatory is a temporary place where souls are purified of their sins before entering heaven. While the suffering here is not eternal, it's still a place of great spiritual discomfort and uncertainty. Souls may remain in purgatory for long stretches of time, and there is always the danger of not progressing towards salvation. Similarly, in Tibetan Buddhism, the bardo is a traditional state between death and rebirth. It's believed that in this realm, souls can be easily disoriented, and failure to navigate it properly could result in an unfavorable rebirth or becoming stuck in an intermediate state. In folklore and ghost stories, the idea of a restless or wandering spirit is another expression of this danger. These spirits are often depicted as being unable to find peace or move on to the next stage of existence, doomed to roam the earth in search of resolution. This notion reflects a broader fear of becoming stuck in the afterlife, unable to reach a final resting place or reunite with loved ones. Judgment and the unknown. One of the most profound dangers that could lurk in the afterlife is the possibility of facing judgment. Many religious traditions include the belief that upon death, souls will be judged for their actions during life. This judgment often determines whether the soul will ascend to paradise or descend into hell, purgatory, or some other form of punishment. In Christianity, the Last Judgment is a central tenet, with Christ serving as the final arbiter of souls. In Islam, a similar belief in the Day of Judgment exists, where individuals will be weighed on their moral and ethical deeds. The fear of judgment creates anxiety not only about the consequences of one's actions, but also about the fairness of the judgment process itself. Will the criteria for judgment be clear? Will divine justice take into account human failings? These unknowns contribute to the fear of what could happen after death. For those who subscribe to more secular beliefs, the unknown remains just as intimidating. Without a clear sense of what happens after death, the imagination runs wild with possibilities, including terrifying outcomes. The sheer uncertainty of what lies beyond the veil, whether it's paradise, punishment, or oblivion, can be one of the most profound dangers of the afterlife. The afterlife, in its cultural, religious, and philosophical interpretations, remains a mystery that invites both hope and fear. While many envision it as a place of peace and redemption, there are significant dangers that could lurk beyond death's door. Hostile entities, eternal punishment, the loss of identity, becoming trapped in limbo, and the fear of judgment all contribute to a rich tapestry of existential threats in the afterlife. These dangers, whether symbolic or literal, reflect the deepest anxieties humans have about death and the unknown, reminding us of the importance of how we live our lives in the face of the ultimate mystery. That's all for now. If you enjoy my content, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you next time.